Hi, Christine. I'm really thankful and excited that to be talking to you today. I'm with Christine Madrid. She's the West Division Builder Director here at Movement Mortgage. And Christine is at the top 1% of all builder originators. She's an industry veteran since 2005. She's a new construction and ran the builder and condo division in the West for Caliber Home Loans from 2013 to 2020. She was then promoted to the director of National Condo Division in 2021. She now leads the Western Division for Movement Mortgage Builder and Condo, where she manages in 9 different states. She also has substantial new construction experience and has been a preferred lender for over 30 condominium and single-family new construction projects over the last 18 years. Quite an impressive background.
Thank you so much.
I'm so
That was a great
excited
introduction. I appreciate it.
to talk to you because I wanted to talk to you because of your wealth of knowledge in the area of builders. And because of the current climate we find ourselves in with such a huge housing shortage, I believe that it's really important for loan officers to have a builder component to their business. So I want to delve into that a little deeper, but first I wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in the business and how you got started with builders.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. A little bit about myself. This was a third career for me. So I didn't start in this industry until 2005. In some ways that served me because I think there were a lot of people who just assumed I'd been in the business longer. And that opened a lot of doors for me. I was fortunate to really start in 2006 on a new construction condominium project. And obviously, we all know what happened to the condo world shortly after that. But I was involved in several different condo projects between 2009 and 2011. And then I had real estate agents that I'd worked with in those condominium projects that ended up shifting into single family. And I was fortunate to have them bring me into those relationships there to be a preferred lender in single family. And then, Lois, as you mentioned, I had the opportunity to start a builder division actually for Cobalt Mortgage, which is the company that we were before Caliber acquired us. And while I continued to originate over the years, I also then moved into assisting build the builder division and eventually the condo division for Caliber, and now do that for more movement as well. I've also had the fortune about 7 years ago to create a home building company in the Pacific Northwest. I have 5 other partners, and we typically build about 60 to 70 homes a year. And so that perspective, sitting in not only on sales meetings with the builder, but making decisions as an owner in that company, I think has lent itself to providing me a very unique perspective about new construction. And on the condo side, I'm an expert in new construction condominiums and condo conversions. And so I think, again, the opportunity to work within all sides of the new construction arena gives me a unique perspective in helping people understand what they need to build their business with builders. So
That's awesome. Very impressive what you've been able to do in that period of time. Like you said, sometimes it helps to start a little later.
yes, it does.
It's another experience. So considering the current inventory issues that we are facing, can you explain why you believe that it's so important for loan officers to add the builder component to their business?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always important as an originator to have different pillars of business. And I know that builder has always been on the more challenging side because it's unique from the perspective that this is actually a business to business sales, right? And so I understand that can be a little intimidating. But, until rates dramatically move lower, we're going to continue to see an extremely constrained existing housing inventory market. And as we know, sellers are not motivated to sell their current homes and enter into new mortgages with significantly higher interest rates, considering the fact that of the people that currently have mortgages, 80% have rates under 5%, 60% have rates under 4%. And so, the question becomes, when are sellers going to actually sell, and when is the resale inventory going to increase? On the flip side, builders are continuing to build, and they have solved for a lot of the rate equation by offering things like interest rate buy downs and other incentives to motivate buyers to purchase. And so, I can't really predict what 5 or 10 years are going to look like, but you have to remember, historically, new construction home sales have been 8 to 12% of our existing inventory, and they're now at 33%. So I think the question really becomes, can you afford not to focus on builders at this point?
Exactly. That's some pretty impressive, number. I didn't realize it was that high. So what are some of the things, if you're a loan officer, that you need to be aware of that the builders are interested in, or that are important to builders?
So first of all, builders have their own language. And so you have to make sure that when you are speaking with a builder, if you don't have the expertise, make sure you draw in somebody from your team who does. That is particularly true with condominiums, because that is a completely different set of terms that the developers and the sales and marketing companies that support them, they can ascertain very quickly whether you know what you're talking about when you call on them. So I'd say, first of all, make sure that if you don't have the experience, that you have somebody that is working with you, because your focus is to do the loans, right? It's completely okay to have other experts to work, to strategize and consult with builders and developers, and to just explain to that team that your focus is to service the clients, with loans. I think it's important that you have the ability to research the builders and developers before you go into meet with them, get a sense of where their communities, what type of capture is, if they currently have a preferred lender, what type of capture that preferred lender is getting, what type of loan products are utilized in that community. Is it a community that's heavy FHA, VA, conventional, jumbo? What are the communities selling around them? So before you call on the builder, you do need to understand what's been happening there. It will give you so much additional credibility when you begin making phone calls to them. I think it's also super important that you work for a company that has a suite of products and services to support builders. Everybody's going to say that they do builder, right? So, but truly, does the company have a focus in which there's a dedication at an executive level to ensuring that you have the tools, resources, and products that you need to sell to builders? And I also think you have to have patience. You have to remember that selling to builders and developers is a marathon, not a sprint. I'm just getting ready to close out a condominium project with the first closings that I've been working on for 4 years. So that's a 4-year investment of my time and energy, conversations with clients, promoting the project, doing pre-approvals, and I have yet to see a dime from that. So if you can't fathom the idea of not being able to shoot it, kill it, and eat it right away, which is what I know we love to do as loan officers, then you've got to really think twice about builder, because it takes a lot of effort, and it's usually at least 6 months before your effort starts to pay off, just because you have to think about the timeline of a build in single family, and in condos, usually you're selected as a preferred lender before they've even broken ground. And then you're looking at, 2 to 3 years before the community is complete, depending upon how big the project is. So, I think in summary, it's really, if you don't have the experience, make sure you have someone on your team who does. Make sure that your company has the tools, resources, and products that truly support builders and what they need. And just have the patience in recognizing that this is a business to business sales, which does remind me your company needs to have marketing materials that are focused on business to business, because again, you're not talking to a consumer here when you are calling on builders. So hopefully
That's
That
cool. That's very good information. So
Mhm.
how you were talking about the lender needs to be very focused on really promoting the builder business. So how would you say Movement Mortgage is actually taking it seriously as far as developing out that program here?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question because in full transparency, Movement was doing builder last year, but it was really not a focus until Brady Yeager, our new national vice president of sales, came on board. And he made this one of his 5 key pillars of business that loan officers were going to be targeting. And what that meant was he really put the tools and resources behind this particular pillar of business. And that started with Terry Barrett, who's our national builder director, and then myself coming on board shortly after Terry was promoted, and really coming in and giving the green light to the entire company that they were to support our objectives of increasing our product offering and the services, as well as all of the marketing and collateral, and making that a priority so that we had, as loan officers, everything that we needed to be able to effectively call on builders and support builders, because it's all about execution. So when you're dealing with these volume accounts, it's not, you have to have a system in place. You've got to receive guidance from the people who have done this successfully before. And we have put all of that in place in a structured platform that is one of the 5 key focuses for the company.
So personally, why did you choose Movement Mortgage? What was a reason for you coming over, even though we hadn't built out our builder
Yes,
division?
yes. That was a consideration for me because I always have to, because I still originate, that's always a key consideration for me, is how, number one, can we effectively originate with the right product offering, with quick turn times and everything along those lines. So I'm always viewing things through the eyes of an originator. I knew, and the reality is I came over with a very large group of people. We could have gone anywhere. We were the highest producing company and sales organization in the Pacific Northwest. And so there were a lot of options available to us. But the reason, from my perspective, that I chose Movement is, number one, I felt that Movement had all of the basics that we needed in the builder world, but that they were open to expanding based on our reputation and our the success that we had the platform to include additional products and services. And they were really committed to doing that. So that was super important to me, to be able to come in and help build this and to know that I was going to have the support. But on top of that, in the end, you still just have to, as I said, execute extremely well. And the more I learned about this platform, the more I realized the speed is amazing. Speed, along with accuracy, is fantastic from an operational perspective. I just delivered 2 loans in 11 days. So that was pretty exciting to see that we could really do that with, quite frankly, it wasn't anything significantly different than we needed to do, aside from just get the support from the beginning that we had to push all the way through. So, all of that is important. And, of course, you get to a certain point in your career that it's got to be, at least for me, more than just about making money. And I will say that impact lending and Movement's commitment to contributing up to 49% of our profits to charity really resonated with me, and it's resonating with our clients. I like to talk to people about it when I do my pre-approval calls. We like to share that information with the builders. They like to be a part of something like that. And so, I certainly was not seeking to make a move this late in my career. I'd spent my entire, 18 and a half years with basically the same company. But it was so compelling that I felt like this is how I wanted to spend my final years, which was, building out this division, helping the other loan officers, still doing some of my own loans. And, I have to say that I'm super pleased. I have no regrets. So
That's great to hear. We love movement with the speed. That's what we were
Mhm.
known for from the very beginning. So thank you so much for talking to me today and giving me a little insight into the builder side and sharing that with everyone.
Yeah, no problem. I do want to mention one other thing that I think is super important for loan officers to be aware of. So, of course, you have to work for a company that has the extended locks and forward commitments and temp buy downs. We actually even have them for jumbo, which I know a lot of companies don't. All of that is super important. But what's equally important in a market like right now is being an expert on structuring, because what we're finding is that there are a lot of people who only marginally qualify. And so taking the time upfront to do a thorough pre-approval, even if it means that client can't qualify right now, you'll have very few times in your career where you can come back to a buyer 6 months later or to the builder whose product they were interested in and say, hey, we've been working for 6 months and this buyer is now ready to buy in your community. So, don't underestimate your value in the situation, because your expertise at structuring and being aware of guidelines and having non-QM product is all super important, because every deal counts right now for the builders, especially with their cost of construction being higher. They can't afford to sit on homes that are completed because they have carrying costs with both higher interest rates and extension costs. And so everything you can do to make sure that you pre-approve accurately up front and structure the loans correctly. We have gone from being a supporting player in the builder world to being an essential player. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because like you say, you need every borrower, and if you can deliver a pre-approved borrower to a builder, that's got to be like gold for them.
absolutely. And even if someone does not qualify in a certain way, to be able to work with that builder to say, hey, I've got a buyer, but right now, we've got some issues. They would benefit from receiving a seller credit towards closing costs and prepaids. And in your world, maybe what that means is I've got a DTI issue. You're not sharing that with the builder, obviously. I need to buy down the interest rate. And so, it's going to take a $6,000 credit, Mr. Builder, to get this across the finish line. To, be proactive like that, to say, we're close, but, and, they can always say no. But oftentimes in an environment like right now, especially if the home is complete, there's no harm in asking, but you've got to be an expert on what is it going to take to get them across the finish line, and then make sure you deliver on that. So
They're more motivated, obviously.
yes.
Yes. Well, great. I got quite a few nuggets out of this. And so I want to say I really appreciate it, Christine, for taking your time today.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. And feel free to follow up with me with any additional questions.
Sure will. Thank you.
Thanks.